And Justin asks if I'm ready. Of course I'm ready. Dude, I was born ready.
You were born ready to film Bowhunt or Die?
Came
out of the womb.
I was born to just hit the road running all the time.
That you certainly were. Well, guys, welcome to another episode of Bowhunt or Die. We're going to start these next couple episodes off, we think, answering a few of our Ask the Experts questions. It's a new feature we added to the website. We're getting a lot of really good questions coming in. Some of them are very, very specific to individual people's situations. So we could try to address those as best as possible, but we picked out a couple today. So the first one's going to be Caleb Hutcherson, who says, what is the best hang-on tree stand for mobile hunting on public land?
I want to.
So we're gonna let Todd take this one.
Hey, I have hunted public land once in my life. So for any of
you've been hunting for like 30 years. 40 years.
Maybe twice in Duluth, Minnesota. At one point, I did find myself multiple times.
And there wasn't a lot of tree stand run and gun options back in those days.
There was not. I'm not even going to tell you the ones I was using because they probably aren't even safe. I'm afraid that they may even take someone's life. They were so bad.
Were they like homemade out of wood?
They were bad. They were bad.
They were pretty bad.
I'm not that old, but they were definitely rough. But you know what? I mean, guys, you know what my answer is going to be on this one. I've been using Lone Wolf stand for over 25 years now, I think. I mean, and I honestly, I think I may have my original one that I
probably
purchased.
Grown into a tree somewhere out here in Wisconsin.
Gosh, why is every episode bake on graft?
It's the truth. It's the truth. Well, for me personally, my run and gun set, and regardless of if it's public or private, like you can run and gun anywhere. It doesn't have to be public land.
That's true.
I use an Assault, a Lone Wolf Assault. You know, the Alpha is a little bit bigger, so it's like 2 pounds heavier. I think it's not a huge difference. Yeah, but the Assault is a little bit smaller, more compact. I generally take 3 climbing sticks with me when I'm doing a run and gun set. I can get plenty high with 3 sticks.
Justin's been in my sets. I can get away with 2, I think, sometimes.
Well, Todd's got monkey, I don't know if monkeys have long legs, but Todd's got long legs. He puts his sticks like this far apart. But for me, it's all about an Assault and 3 sticks. That's my mobile hunting setup.
Caleb, there you go. So,
Ryan Jackson's next. What does Ryan say?
What is the best food plot to plant in Missouri? Hey, listen, you know what? I think when there's credit that needs to be given, you need to give credit out there. Hey, when you start talking about Missouri and you start talking about food plots, there's only one thing that comes to my mind. What comes to your mind? You got anything? Guy, I'm going to say Grant Woods, man. Listen, that's not the food plot to plant. But when I think of Missouri and I think of planting food plots, you know what? Grant Woods has got a lot of great videos on what to plant, especially in Missouri. The guy lives there. He's got a piece of property there that's very, very, very good that he's been grooming over the years. I actually just watched a segment not too long ago where he was literally planting a brassica plot. Literally, I mean, it almost looked like in gravel and rocks. And then he came back 7 days later and showed how well it actually came up. So I'm not going to be smart enough to tell you exactly what to do in Missouri food plot wise. I do know for the most part that they're not far from us here in Illinois. I basically know their weather patterns they get down there depending on where you live in the state. So I think you can never go wrong with a brassica, beans, you know, those type of plots, soybeans, you know, some of that stuff. You can't go wrong.
So just whatever you want to plant.
No, I think you can't go wrong with that.
Missouri is one of those states where I feel like the northern part of the state it's almost like one climate zone, and then the southern part is almost a whole nother. They're just in that kind of transition area. So
pretty warm.
It's really hard to say, and it depends on how big the plot is, what you want to do with it. Do you want an annual? Do you want a perennial? There's so many things that you got to think about. You know, I think throw and grow mixes, you know, those work. For me personally, like I think clover plots are really good. Like clover chicory plots, I think anywhere you're at, you can't.
You saw my chicory plot on my farm. They're pounding
clover and chicory, tons of protein. They're a perennial, so you don't have to replant them every single year. You just have to maintain them and keep them mowed. Put some fertilizer on them, maybe overseed them. They're pretty easy to maintain and to get in. So for my money, that's kind of like the go-to plot.
I'm going to throw one more question in here real quick. Somebody asked me this the other day, so this is a very quick one because we're getting long-winded and we don't want to do that. The question that I was asked, do you think the amount of effort that we put into food plots can also be pushing bucks out of our property because we're attracting more does? Do you believe that? What is your opinion on that?
Oh man, that's a great question that I don't know the answer to be honest with you. For me personally, I don't put enough effort into food plots. Not that I don't put effort into them, but my plots are small. They're little tiny.
This whole episode is about
No, I mean, but you're going to see they're small kill plots. I think if you're putting in acres and acres and acres of food and drawing in tons of does and you're creating destination food sources, maybe. These small little kill plots that I'm putting in are basically just a pass-through. Like when the deer's on its way from bedding to the destination food source, we hope that they stop there first and kind of stage there and browse around before they go to the big fields. So I don't think I'm attracting enough does to have that be an issue. That would be for somebody that's got, maybe like your farm, you got a lot of food on your place.
And maybe there is something to be said. Listen, I'm not a biologist. I don't know enough information specifically to know about what deer do. I wish I had tracking devices on all my deer. I don't. But what I will say is there might be something to be said to that, because you know what? Big bucks do like seclusion. They don't like the extra activity. You know what? And I will say on a couple of farms where I do know where there's a ton of food, where I get tons of does, I'm not getting a bunch of those bucks over there where they're fawning and rearing and stuff.
Well, but you're not during the summer, but you get them in the fall.
I get them in the fall, because I got the ladies.
That's the difference. Right, so yeah, I mean, where the does raise the fawns in the summer is different than where the bucks summer and hang out. But if you got the does, the bucks are going to come sooner or later. So I don't think it's a problem, but we don't really know. So that's the answer, guys. We're going to jump into, we got a lot of food plot information coming up here over the next couple episodes. I went out and did some work on my farm. We've been out on Todd's farm doing some work there. We're going to kind of split some of these up. So first we're going to see me and Brad went out this week actually and got some seed in the ground. So let's take a look. All right, guys, it is the end of July, and I'm out here at my lease in northwestern Illinois. As you can see, we're getting ready to get some food in the ground. You know, my plan for this fall, for this particular farm, is honestly not to hunt it a whole lot during the rut. I drew an Iowa tag this year, so I'm going to be spending most of my time just across the river. We're only about 10 miles from Iowa, where we're at here on this particular farm. So I'm going to plant 2 food plots today for 2 specific scenarios. The first one is going to be more of a early fall, like an October type plot. I'm planning on bringing my son Joey out here, hopefully to successfully harvest a deer with him this fall. So that's what we're going to be putting in here. So this is going to be your slam dunk. This is, they call it the all fall plot mix. So this is going to have buckwheat and peas in it, which is going to be more of your early, like October type hunting. And then it's also got radishes and rape in it, which is going to be more of your later into the fall, winter type, so December into January. So hopefully I could shoot a deer out here and not have to be hunting in December or January, but you just never know. So that's why we're putting this in here. I came out here a month ago. I mowed all this down. Came back 2 weeks ago. I sprayed it all. It's all pretty good and dead, I would say. There's a little bit of stuff growing in here, but not too bad. So the plan for today is to spread some all-purpose fertilizer on this plot. Didn't have an opportunity to get a soil test. Got to imagine it's not the best soil conditions in the world, so we're going to spread some all-purpose fertilizer. We're going to disc that in, then we're going to broadcast the seed, and then we're going to drag on top of it. Pretty straightforward stuff. We got the ATV, we got the Groundhog Max, and we got me, the spreader. So I'm going to get to work. We're going to get some seed in the ground and then head to the next plot. The nice thing about this particular plot, why I've always liked this part of the farm, is the neighbors have got awesome bedding to the west, which is where most of our deer are going to come from. I'm hoping that they're going to come out of this bedding kind of through this little thicket right here and into this plot. And the nice thing about it is it's close to the house and it's perfect on any sort of west wind. A southwest, a northwest, even a due south or a due west, you can hunt this spot and not disturb any of those deer that are over there. So this farm, the way that it lays out, we don't have a lot of great west wind spots because we do a lot of our hunting on the other side of the farm, on the east side, which is kind of a pain in the butt because that's where the deer come from, is from the east, at least on that side. So I think this is going to be a productive spot. There's always been a lot of buck sign in here. Traditionally through the years, my buddy Jason killed a real nice buck out of one of these trees down here a few years back. So hoping this one's going to pay off for us sooner or later. You always put this work in. You want to actually shoot a deer out here. Would be nice. I don't think I've killed a deer off this farm in a long time. I don't know how long it's been. You can see my sweet tape job here. This is where the mice ate through the bag to get seed that I left in it one year. All right, so we're just getting ready to disc this thing, and we're using this little Groundhog Max, which you can see is a tiny little disc. I don't know, it's about maybe 18 inches wide or so. And this disc actually uses the weight of the ATV to push it down into the ground. So if you guys are gonna use one of these discs, just gotta be careful, make sure you don't tear your machine up. Talk to the guys over at Groundhog, they'll get you hooked up with the proper hitch that you need to attach to the actual frame of your ATV so that you don't tear this thing up horribly bad. I know there's some stories out there of guys breaking their ATVs doing this. Most of the time, or all of the time, it's because they're just doing it wrong. So what I've got here is I brought a couple paver bricks with me. I'm going to back the machine up onto these bricks so I can get these back tires up off the ground, which will allow me to get the disc attached. And then once I roll forward, it's going to use, again, the pressure from the machine to push this disc down into the ground. We don't need it to go very far. We're planting pretty small seeds today, so we only need, you know, an inch or so into the ground, and then we're going to use it to tear this dirt up here, and then we'll get the seed in. So I'm going to back up first, get this thing ready to go. So what we're going to do is get that in there. All right, I'm going to roll the machine forward. We don't have it super deep. You can already see where the disc is cut into the ground right here. So the thing with this is you got to maintain a halfway decent speed. So put the thing in 4-wheel drive and let it rip. So let's do it. All right, well, we got everything disced up here with the Groundhog Max, and before we throw the seed down, I like to run over these plots, these new ones that have a lot of growth in them, right? And because I don't have a tiller where I can till everything under, there's just a lot of grass and other matter kind of just in here. So I like to run this over with the tines down on the harrow, and what it tends to do is give you these big clumps of grass and matter that are left in here that it's going to potentially inhibit your soil to seed contact. So this just allows me to clean up this plot a little bit before I actually put the seed down. So I'm going to walk around through here. I'm going to pick up, there's a few bigger ones kind of you can see strewn around in here, and then we're going to go ahead and broadcast this, and then when I go over it with the harrow the next time, I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do tines up, so it's going to be flat side down. So I'm trying to get some soil to seed contact at that point, instead of, you know, this way. I'm trying to kind of just get these clumps of grass up and out of the way. So that part's done. We're going to pick these up, get the seed down. Slam dunk, baby. All right, guys, I'm going to give you a quick tip that I learned the hard way through the years. When you're planting a blend like this, which is the slam dunk, and it's got big seeds, which are going to be like your cowpeas and your wheat, right? And then it's got small seeds, which is going to be your brassicas, your turnips, your radishes, your rape. You want to go easy your first time through the food plot. Way too many times in my life, I've opened this seeder up and I'm just cranking. I get one pass done and all of a sudden I'm out of seed. You don't realize how big some of those brassicas get, and one tiny little seed turns into an awfully big plant. So my advice to you is go easy with the spreader the first time through the plot. Cover everything well, and then go back and just keep doing it again until you're out of seed. You don't want to burn up a half an acre of seed in an eighth of an acre, because you're going to have plants that are way too close together and they're not going to grow as well as they would if they were properly spaced out. So that is my tip for you today. Second tip, bring water because it's hot out. Back to seeding. All right, food plot number 1 is officially in the ground, and we just need rain at this point. Unfortunately, there's none in the forecast, so I don't know what's going to happen out here, but seed is down. We're going to go around. We're going to pick up just a little bit more of this grass in here that might inhibit whatever plants are going to grow from growing. So we're going to pick that up, and then we're going to head over to the next plot. But actually, we're going to go, I lied, we're going to check a trail camera first, then go to the next plot. All right, guys, well, We're here at plot number 2, and I gotta tell you, I'm a little upset with myself. It just doesn't look as dead as I was hoping. There's quite a bit of weeds still growing in here, so I'm not exactly sure how this is gonna go today, but there's only one way to find out, and we're pretty much out of time. So we're gonna get this seed in here. We're gonna hope that it takes and that it looks good. So the plan for this one is, because we're a little bit strapped for time right now, I ran through and threw the fertilizer down. We're gonna go ahead and put the seed down as well, and then I'm gonna run the groundhog over everything, because that groundhog only goes in a little bit. It's not going to be a big deal. These turnip seeds and rape seeds, any of your real small brassicas, do not need to be in the ground very far at all. A lot of times you can get away with just broadcasting them and that's it. But for purposes of this plot, it's about 1/4 of an acre, give or take, maybe just over that. This is a 1/2 acre of seed, so I'm not going to use the entire bag. Again, like I said before, you do not want to put too much seed down. You're better off not having quite enough seed and then coming in later and overseeding it in the fall with something like forage oats or winter wheat or something like that if you feel like your plot is too sparse. But when it comes to brassicas, you don't want to put too much down, otherwise the plants just won't grow as well as they should. So we're going to use about 1/2 of this bag, give or take. We're going to spread it through here and then run the disc over it and the harrow, check a couple cameras, and then get out of here and go help Todd with his plots. Let's make sure our thing is closed. There's nothing like all your seed running out the bottom of the seeder when you put it in there. So now this is a coated seed, so you can see that it's got that kind of orange colored coating on it. Actually helps with germination. A little bit more. The other nice thing about having the orange coated seed with these little turnip seeds is it makes it easier to see on the ground where you spread them, because normally they're a little black seed. When you get a black seed on the brown or black dirt, you have no idea what you've hit and what you haven't hit. Having these orange coated seeds really makes it easy to see them on the ground and know exactly what you've covered and what you haven't. So let's get going. All right, plot number 2 is done. The disc worked much better this time, got it a little bit deeper, and actually had it facing the right direction, and you can see makes a world of difference. So there's a few more weeds growing in here than I'd like to see, but it is what it is. Most of the time the deer eat those along with the food plot, so I'm not going to be too worried about it. We're not going for a magazine cover, we're just going for enough food for me to kill a deer from that tree stand right there. So this plot is done. We just got to hope for rain. You know, this is a long, skinny plot. It's only at its widest point, probably not even 20 yards, and I think it's about 60 or 70 yards long. Just a little opening on the top of this ridge, and it funnels out to a destination food source, which is the bean field there. Got a clover plot just up over the hill, so it's just a great little spot. Had a nice encounter with a good up-and-coming 2-year-old buck, came up out of this bottom last year, hit this edge, and then went out to the field. I could have shot him, just not the deer I was looking for last year. But if that deer is alive, and I believe him to be alive, he should be a pretty nice 3-year-old, and he will definitely be getting an arrow run through him if he makes that same mistake. So we're done with this plot. We're going to go check a couple trail cameras and then go meet up with Todd.
You know, putting in these plots, there's no doubt it's a labor of love. And whether you actually killed deer over them or not, because I have put in a ton of food plots, and I've never even made it to go hunt them, but I get the enjoyment of even just checking the camera photos and just seeing what's going to come in and just know that I'm giving more food to the deer and building a healthy herd. In your case, Justin, last year, I mean, I can think of a few times when we were sitting in this studio looking at your stealth cam remote and seeing live bucks. Yeah, not live, but I mean instant photos coming in where you missed windows of opportunities where the buck you wanted to kill was in those plots. And even
we were here in the office looking at the pictures of them. Yes.
But even when we were with Todd at my place a couple of days ago, you've had that camera there for a long time, and it is amazing how many deer you're feeding in that clover plot. I mean,
yeah,
seriously.
Definitely. My clover plot is doing really well. It needs a mow. You know, the 2 plots we put in the other day, one of them's a brand new plot. We've never had food there, and we were fortunate this year that the power company came through and cleared everything under the power lines in the springtime. I was going to have to go in there with like a brush mower and
local
do it.
spot.
No, my one out west, okay. Right? So the power lines that feed up to the house on the property, power company came through in the springtime with these giant mowers and just munched everything down, which was perfect because I always wanted to get a little food plot in there. And for me, like both these plots are kill plots, right? They're small, they're 60 yards by 20 or 30 yards. They're small little plots.
They're nice.
One of them that we put in, I specifically did for more of an early season, right? Because I want to get my son out there while it's warm, right? Like planning a turnip plot, hoping I'm going to bring the kids there in December and January, like it's not going to happen, right? So the buckwheat and the peas, like that's going to be the early season type plot, and it's easy to walk to. Like I strategically put it there, like.
And you just planted that stuff now.
We just
is what
planted
they're
it
watching,
now.
which is great. Those are not going to get pods, but man, they love those little. They just love those. Bam.
Yeah. So I'm happy about that. The other one's a brassica plot, you know, and I had brassicas there last year, and they grew pretty well, but they just never got very big. So I talked to Todd at Antler King about it. I said, hey, dude, what should I do? Like, what is my problem? And he took a look. Granted, he only looked at photos of the plot just to see if there's any
But we know the answer
discoloration.
because we all make the same mistakes.
Well, he told me it's one of two things, or both of these. I put too much seed down.
Yep.
So there was probably too many
Common mistake.
too many plants in a concentrated area. But he also felt like I probably had a lot of browsing pressure, more browsing pressure than I realized on that small plot. So he told me to put an exclusion cage in there this year just to monitor it and see if that's actually what's happening. So that second plot we did, I'm going to go back in a couple weeks when I mow my clover. I'm going to cage it, and I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, we've got a video coming up on how to do the kind of that utilization cage to kind of just see what's going on. It's a very simple thing to do, but I'll tell you what, it will give you a lot of information very quickly.
Helpful tip.
It's a good tip, but you know, a good episode of Bowhunt or Die is never good unless we're picking on each other. And you know, I will say, when you showed up at the farm at my place, I noticed that your little disking implement was backwards there, my man.
You couldn't have noticed it then.
Dude, you had it strapped. You had it strapped on top of the four-wheeler. You obviously.
No, it was good then.
No.
No.
Where did I see it then? I saw it somewhere where it was.
Probably on Instagram. The first plot we did, I was in a hurry, not thinking.
Read the instructions.
And I put the disc back. I'm disking, and I'm like, man, normally this thing like does a really good job. I was thinking maybe the soil's just extra hard.
We're gonna cut Justin off right there because with
put the disc the right way. That's the tip. It works better that way.
Before we end this episode, seriously, I mean, if you're a new fan just jumping in, just watching this, guys, because we hear about it. We hear about it through friends. We hear about it just sometimes in forums where people just talk about, well, you know, I don't have implement like that. I don't have this. Guys, listen, we didn't either at one point. I mean,
sure.
I'm 47 years old now. You know, you're getting up there in age, almost 39, 40. The reality is, guys, I'm telling you right now, 5-6 years ago, dude, you and Tommy were going out and renting the walk-behind mower. Guys, I didn't have the equipment that I had, you know, that I have today. I mean, it takes time. You know, you buy these pieces of equipment one thing at a time. You take care of them. You buy the ones that match whatever you have. You can always borrow a buddy's four-wheeler if you're working together.
And
there's ways to do this.
Things that you need, like
definitely.
I think the key here is you don't have to run out and buy everything that you need because it can get expensive to put these food plots in. You're right. Tommy and I started, there was one point in time where literally all I had was a backpack sprayer and a little hand spreader. That was it. And I would go out with...
And a rake.
And a rake. Literally a metal rake. We would kill it off, rake it, broadcast oats or something like that in late August and rake it, and it worked. You know, and as we progressed through the years, you know, one of the things that Tommy and I did is we went and bought a mower, right? Which I think was one of the best investments we made.
Pull-behind mower.
A pull-behind mower that we pull behind the ATV, but like we split the cost of it, right? They're expensive, you know, but we're both using it. We're hunting together, you know, and it works great. Your buddies borrow it, you know, every once in a while. Like if you can get a couple people together to go in and, hey, you buy this piece, I'll buy this piece, another guy buys another piece, and you all kind of just share the equipment, spread that cost out. It makes it a lot easier. You know, so you're not having to dump, you know, thousands of dollars. And over the years, we picked up one piece at a time, right? We picked up a mower, and then it was a harrow, and then it was the disc.
Right.
And then
you get the sprayer from Moose, and you can share that with your buddies. I mean, all this stuff can be shared. So anyhow, guys, just keep that in mind. You know, it's not something, no, you don't watch an episode like this and be like, I'm going to go put in a kill plot, and I'm going to go spend $10,000. Guys, you use your resources. You find people that have things. You pick the selective items, and you make those purchases, and you'll have them for a long time.
That's right. Next up, guys, we are going to try to read the names of the trophy photos for this week. We hope we get them right. Then we're going to pick a winner, and we're going to get out of here. So let's take a look at those pictures now.
Austin Boone.
Henry Fay.
Kyle Gibson.
Michael Fresenburg.
Rich Price.
Sean Koblenz.
Hey guys, those are some great trophies as always. The lucky winner this week is being deferred to me.
Right
And
there.
I'm going to have to go with, guys, this is an example of someone who's paying attention to where the sun's shining, has his bow and arrow, he's behind the animal. Rich, you did a great job. Congratulations. You're the winner of the Hunter Specialties prize pack this week. Make sure you get a hold of us, and we will get that sent out to you. Guys, keep hashtagging bowhunterdie. We'll make sure that maybe you get entered into this great trophy.
That's right. We got to give a special shout out to young bow hunter Henry Fay, who killed himself a warthog over in Africa. That's pretty awesome. So congratulations to Henry and everybody who sent their photos in. Guys, thanks for watching. We're going to have another episode early next week of Bowhunter Die. We got some more food plot action coming at you from
Trophy
Mr.
doe
Graff's
contest
farm.
does not have been forgotten. We filmed a little segment on that.
Info about the trophy doe contest
That's coming up. And
Johnny's
I did
hit
get
list.
permission that we will have a deal on the HME scales last night. So that's going to be cool.
Nice.
So if you want to be a part of that program, make sure you stay tuned because we will be having an announcement on that shortly. So until next time, get out there, get the cameras out because it won't be long and it's go time.
45 days I'll be in Kentucky.
Let's not think about that right now.
See you guys next week. Bowhunter Die. I gotta pee. All right, guys. All right, guys. All right, so. All right, well. All right, guys. All right, guys. All right. All right, guys. All right. All right. All right, guys. Just another day at the office, guys.